Carl, on Saturday David Cameron said he wasn't going to target Thurrock, but he is now. We've seen a lot of big guns for the Tories. Does that rattle you at all?
No, it's interesting though, isn't it, that they're showing such an interest in Thurrock after neglecting the place for the last 6 years. I mean, they wouldn't have passed them by that this council is now one of the worst councils in the country. It wouldn't have passed them by that the reputation of Thurrock nationally is a bit of a laughing stock. And that's all happened under the Tories administration here. So, I mean, if that's what we can expect from a Tory government, then heaven help us all.
But do you think that transfers onto the doorstep, seeing such high-profile figures?
Well, if they went on a doorstep, it would do. But my understanding is that David Cameron was busting in his big, nice blue coach, was greeted by the principal of Palmer's College, whisked in, made a speech, then had a meeting with the principal in private, then got back on his big shiny coach and went off to his sister's wedding in the afternoon. And well, I'm not sure he spoke to any real people.
Surely it must be a case that in Thurrock there are people saying, I'm sorry Carl, Gordon Brown is not the person for me, and he's taken the Labour Party away from where I thought it was. There must be a protest vote of some shape or form in Thurrock.
Well, yeah, I mean, nobody's... I'm not saying to you that Gordon Brown is the best thing since sliced bread, and that's not what we're picking up on the doorstep. But surprisingly enough, a lot of people are saying to us that they're fed up with all these propaganda stories that are coming out of papers like The Sun, which is nothing more than a Tory propaganda sheet now, with day after day insults and personal abuse towards the Prime Minister. And that really is having a detrimental... They might not like Gordon Brown, but they do understand that it's substance over spin. And I think on Thursday, now that we're going to talk about the real issue in this election, it's the economy, I think Gordon Brown will do well. And we were talking about what's going to happen and what the likelihood is of a Tory government. If you have a Tory government, you could see 20 to 40,000 jobs go. You'll see we're back into recession, and it will be people like the people of Thurrock will be left on their own, whilst the Tories look after the 3,000 richest families in the country with a massive tax break. Now, that is not, we're in this together. It looks very much to me like you've got, they're talking about the big society, but it's more like the DIY society. You know, schools, and they won't commit to our cancer guarantee. We saw the synthetic anger last week of David Cameron when we said we might have suggested that he was going to cut this, that and the other, but and accused us of abuse, but we never put a tombstone on a poster. I mean, that was the Tories, and I think, you know, if we're talking about scaremongering, they need to get their own act in.
Have you been good value for money when it comes to law and order?
Well, I think so. I mean, we've got more police on the beat in Essex and around the country. We've got PCSOs that are making a real difference in communities. And the PCSOs, interestingly enough, in Thurrock, were only saved after we campaigned to stop the Tories from cutting their funding. So we've got 15 or 20 more PCSOs out on the streets, solving that sort of low-level antisocial behaviour that everybody's so concerned about. Crime's falling. And I know the perception of crime is different to the actuality, but I think we've got a good record on law and order, and all that is under threat from the Tories because they won't guarantee funding for the Home Office and the police.
Would you say you've got a good relationship with the local police?
Very good. I mean, I think that the PCSOs and the neighbourhood policing teams are making a real difference and making a real impact, and a positive impact. They're engaging with people, and quite often, you know, people will go up and talk to a police officer and say, oops, I don't want to talk to you, I want to talk to the PCSO, to give them some sort of information and give them some help with their job. I think it works very well in Tilbury, it works very well in Grays, and they're very, very high profile. A number of people have said to me that they're really pleased that they're seeing a lot more presence on the streets, and it's very reassuring for them. And a lot of that is through the government's policy on PCSOs. And, you know, there are more police than ever.